listening to the Top Music Guitar Podcast, the show for guitar teachers to learn about the craft of teaching great guitar lessons that students love. If you're looking to start or expand your studio and make guitar teaching your full-time dream job, you've come to the right place. Each week, you'll get to hear from some of the top guitar teachers from around the globe and get their best tips and experiences so you too can build your own dream studio. I'm your host, Michael, and I've founded one of the top guitar schools in Australia, written a best-selling curriculum, and I mentor guitar teachers. I'm excited to share my expertise with you and the wisdom of all the experts we interview. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Let's get into it. Hello there, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Top Music Guitar Teaching Podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing how to give each student what they need to succeed. Now, this is a topic and almost a point of frustration for many guitar teachers. Remember, as a teacher, you are one of the rare few that probably really loved their instrument and took it seriously relatively early on. However you came into guitar, you were struck by inspiration and you just loved it. You did what you had to do. You practiced lots. You enjoyed playing. You probably even enjoyed practicing. That's not all of you, but I know it's going to be most of you. And we often find it's really hard to relate to students who aren't motivated to practice or who don't like doing things over and over hundreds of times. It's really alien to me because I was completely different. And I understand some of you may have done guitar for a couple of years before you really fell in love with it, depending on when you started and how you came into being it. So I don't want to generalize, but I will say that most teachers get frustrated when they tell their students what to do and their students just don't immediately do it. Remember that you are the rare 1%. In fact, you're probably the 1% of the 1%. Remember, 90% of people quit guitar in the first year. And I remember reading somewhere, and I can't remember where, but by the end of the second year, it goes up to 98% of people who try. So just by playing guitar for more than 2 years, you're in the top 2% of guitar players in the whole world who stuck with it beyond 2 years. To become a teacher and listen to this podcast, you're probably the 1% of the 2% who decided to get good enough to go into teaching. So you have a dramatically different life experience and outlook to the average student that is taking lessons with you. Now, as we said, 90% of students quit within the first year. If you can get most of your students to stick with you beyond a year, then you are doing amazingly well. And the key to that is giving students what they need to succeed. Whatever you did, you might have just been given one thing to practice and you practiced that for 3 hours every single day. You got very good very quickly because you were dedicated and you were practiced. But not all your students are going to be like you. Remember, you are the exception. You have students who are there because they want to learn guitar. They love the instrument. They love the music that they want to learn how to play. There are other students who are there because they're looking for a hobby. They're having a midlife crisis. They've got a void to fill. They need someone to talk to. They saw a concert and they feel inspired. Unfortunately, most of these people who are just trying it out to see if they like it, they're just naturally going to cycle. And I think it's not 90% of people quit guitar. I think it's 90% of people quit everything, whether that's gym, whether that's sports. People are always taking the path of least resistance. They give up easy. They would rather find something that's new and exciting as soon as the novelty of guitar or whatever activity wears off. They're always looking for something new to do. You may do this in some of the things that you commit to, but it's basic human behavior. As soon as the going gets tough, people aren't tough anymore. They just give up and quit. So if you can get your students beyond the first 12 months with you, then that means you're doing something really, really right. And there's a number of different things, but it all comes down to giving the students what they need to succeed, as I mentioned before. I teach groups 95% of the time, and I can explain a topic to the group and go, okay, guys, have we got that? Cool, let's get into it. Clap my hand, here we go. And I can look up, if there's 6 people in the room, one person's diving right into it. I've got that, that total gunplay that understands it, they know what to do, and they love practicing. I've got one person who's still tuning their guitar up because they've been learning for 6 weeks and they haven't figured out how to tune their guitar. I've got one student who is looking at it and reading through the instructions again. I've got another student who has a deer in the headlights look on their face. They got no idea what's going on. I've given what I think is a simple instruction, but due to the different intelligence levels in the room, due to the different skill levels in the room, some people know what to do straight away. That you explain it once, they get it, they understand. Other people, they need to hear it 2 or 3 times. Some people need it written down for them. Some people You've got to pick it up and play it for them. Others, you're going to have to guide them through step by step. So we're halfway through today's episode, but before we dive back into our discussion, let's take a moment to talk about the Top Music Guitar Teachers membership. Now, this isn't just another course or another run-of-the-mill membership. It's a game changer for guitar teachers just like you. Imagine having a supportive community of like-minded professionals, mentorship from industry experts, and a wealth of resources and teaching tips at your fingertips. Our membership empowers you to grow your teaching skills and build a thriving guitar teaching business around whatever you want to do, whether that's online, offline, building courses, creating awesome products, whatever you want to do. Join us today for only $49 per month and unlock your full potential as a guitar teacher. Now, back to the podcast. So while you get frustrated going, oh man, like I explained it, why can't this student just get it? How do I reach these kids? You're sitting there going, oh my God, this person's almost said the R word there. Like, oh my God, like what is wrong with you? Do you have learning difficulties? Do you have attention span problems? They just might not be as intelligent with you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But don't take for granted the intelligence you have, the expertise you have in this area. You may have forgotten how long it took you to learn it or master a simple concept back in the day. Other people, and I don't mean to brag, but I don't think there's ever been a music theory topic that I needed explained to me more than once. I got to explain once, I understood it. I would like to think I'm above average intelligence without tooting my own horn. I get things quickly, I understand things quickly, and I execute on them quickly. That makes it really frustrating when I get people who are slow or don't understand things the first time or maybe need to be talked through the process. So you might find yourself getting frustrated at students. Why can't everyone be like Jimmy? Jimmy's a gun. I wish I had more Jimmys than I had Todds. Todd's a bit of a dunce. The key is to go, oh my God, you don't get it. You don't want to be that. You want to go, well, what does this student need to succeed? Little Jimmy, he just needs to be shown what to do once and he can go and work independently. Todd, he needs me to sit with him, break it down into 5 different steps and talk him through each step. Now, if you're not very patient, that might seem like a nightmare to you and Todd might not be fun to teach. But if you reset your expectations of everyone learning as fast as you did or as fast as Jimmy did, then you're going to be a whole lot less frustrated and Todd's going to get so much more out of it. And Todd's not going to quit after 3 or 4 lessons. Todd's going to stick with it for longer because you helped him in the way that he needed to be helped. Some people are just there for a chat rather than you have the expectation that, hey, just sit down and shut up and do the work, that you work on it for a minute, you have a chat and you talk your way through the lessons. So you kind of have to adapt your style to the person that is in front of you. There's that image of, equality versus equity, giving everyone what they need to succeed. I think you still need to reward your high achievers and you kind of have to make sure the people that work hard and get the results feel good and are rewarded for that. But the people who don't get it as easily, the people that need a bit more attention, you give them what they need. And ultimately, your success as a teacher is determined by your ability to explain the concept to someone in a way that makes sense to them, is to show them how to go from A to B in a way that doesn't overwhelm or frustrate them. It's to take them from who they are now and give them what they need in a way that's meaningful for them, that's going to get that end result. If you can't get them the result, there are certain students that no matter how many ways you explain it to them, they just don't get it. But does that mean you're doing a good job of explaining it or a bad job of explaining it? It really does depend, and you have to go on a context by context way. But maybe you're trying to do too much in one go. Maybe you're trying to explain a topic which, you have 2.5, 3 years of experience about through high school music, and then just took for granted that you knew all these other assumed knowledge topics which need to be learned first. So it can be really, a dicey topic. But anyone you're finding yourself you're frustrated with, the biggest thing you can do is stop, slow down, take a breath and say, what does this person need to succeed? What can I do better to help them understand? How can I explain this topic? Can I break it down into a simpler next step? Did I miss something? Is there some assumed knowledge which I know that they don't, which is making this easier? Have I got a really strong attention span? Am I expecting too much of someone who is young? Am I expecting too much of someone who is new to the hobby? There are so many things you take for granted about yourself and your journey and your expertise that the average person doesn't have. Attention spans take time to build. Comprehensive understanding of music theory takes a while. even muscle memory takes a long time to develop. If you think it's hard being a beginner or easy being a beginner, you forgot, go grab a left-hand guitar, or if you're a left-handed, grab a right-hand guitar and just try and play some basic stuff with the opposite hand. Play a melody, play a chord progression with strumming. You'll find it's almost impossible. Your brain knows what to do, but your fingers don't. So before you get frustrated with your student, try that out. Anyway, guys, I hope that has been some powerful insight. I hope that will give you some food for thought and hopefully help you out in your lessons, not only making you a little less frustrated when you get a slow-moving student, but hopefully it's going to be making you a more understanding teacher, and it can help you be more impactful and have a more meaningful lesson with your students. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening in. We'll see you in next week's episode. Hey there, guys. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Top Music Guitar Teaching Podcast. If you have any questions about anything we discussed on the podcast, reach out to me at michael@topmusic.co via email. If you want to guest on the show because you're doing some wonderful things in the teaching space, I would love to hear from you. Or if you've got any suggestions for guests or topics we can discuss, as always, you know where to find me. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is our Top Music Guitar Teaching membership. We have over 1,000 members at Top Music, and that is a huge community of people that you can connect with online, share wonderful teaching tips, and of course, network with. We've also got over 20 courses for music teachers, 12 special ones for guitar on every topic imaginable, from group teaching, private teaching, how to find more students, how to build websites, everything you could possibly want to need to know about teaching, building a business, and getting more students is covered. And you get access to all of this for $49, probably less than what you charge for a 1-hour private lesson every single month. So don't miss out on this awesome opportunity. Visit our website, www.topmusicguitar.com, and join us in the membership. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.